I lived in DC for 6 years a little bit ago, and so I thought it would be helpful to start the night off and to start your time at NTC getting a little bit to know our nation's capital. First thing is, don't call it our nation's capital. Only tourists call it our nation's capital. This map of DC is old, but it's still kind of instructive. You can see there's these random streets that go out at angles. Those streets all have state names. You want to avoid them because they go out at a weird angle. And they do that for a specific reason. That's the same way they actually collect in these circles, like DuPont Circle, which is right down the street. It was designed by the architect, Pierre L'Enfant, to frustrate invading armies. Seriously. So it was designed so you'd start together and then you'd walk down these streets and you'd end up at different places. So just avoid them because you could be blocks away from where you're trying to go. There is a grid. These lettered name streets, the lettered and these numbered streets are set out in a grid. However, there are 4, 14th and Ks? So if you're trying to get to 14th and K Northwest and you say 14th and K Southeast, you are not going to be happy with where you end up. So know the quadrant, especially if you're going in a cab. The one thing you'll notice is there is no J Street in Washington, D.C., and that's because Pierre L'Enfant hated John Jay, the first Justice of the Supreme Court. It's like the first face ever in history. They're just like, nah, I don't like this guy, so I'm not going to name a street because he might think it's named after him. If you're going to be in a car, avoid Maryland drivers. Yeah, see, I knew I was going to get a reaction. So the people from Maryland know why I said that, because when I lived here, I lived in Northern Virginia. And we know how to drive in Northern Virginia. But one thing Northern Virginians and people from Maryland can agree on is you need to avoid diplomatic plates. And this is a motorcycle diplomatic plate, which is frightening. These are people who didn't grow up here. I'm glad they're here, but they didn't grow up here, they're not from here, and they have diplomatic immunity. That is a bad combination on the roads, people. So if I've scared you off from walking and driving, then you might want to say, I'll take the metro. This is the Wheaton escalator. It's the largest single-run escalator in the world. Perhaps a sight to see. I don't know. It's like the largest ball of twine. If you're going to be on a metro escalator, I cannot stress enough, you need to stand on the right. Do not stand on the left, or people from Washington will run you down. I'm not kidding about run you down. They will push you out of the way. I had a buddy that would tell people it's not a ride as he pushed past them on the escalator. So again, I cannot stress enough, stand on the right. If you're trying to get from one place to another, all you need to know is the endpoints of the metro lines. So if we're on the red line now, you can walk down Connecticut to DuPont Circle. And if you're going downtown, you're going to take it towards Silver Spring. If you're coming back, you're going to take it towards Shady Grove. So you just need to know the endpoints. Usability people in the room should start laughing at the WMATA ticket things. Remember, you have to pick the kind of fare card you want, and then pick how much you're going to put on it, and then put the money in. You'd think you could just put money in and it would give you a fare. No, gotta pick first. If you're trying to get to Georgetown, you can't get there on the metro. Doesn't matter how close you think a metro stop is to Georgetown, it's not close to Georgetown. If you want to go to Georgetown, you have to take a cab. There's also the Georgetown University transit system, which is guts. It's only $1. It's pretty cheap. I think we're all going to want to eat, even though NTEN provides some great food here at NTC. Ben's Chili Bowl, it's on U Street. It's the green line on the metro. Literally every other building on the street burned down in the 60s. This was saved because it's a culture, it's an icon of the neighborhood. Another, not necessarily a place, but a kind of food you can get here in DC is Ethiopian. You can get Ethiopian food other places, I'm sure, but there's very few places where you'll see like 5 Ethiopian restaurants on a street. So it's not my favorite. I can't do the sweet kind of tasting meat thing, but it's pretty good. If you want to eat like a local, a great place to go is Eastern Market. Eastern Market's on the blue line at the Eastern Market metro stop. Saturday morning's probably the best time. That's when there's the most people there. There's a lunch counter, and then also if you want to pick up a souvenir that's created by a local artisan, you can do that there. One place I wouldn't go is the Air and Space Museum. I went when I was 12, and they haven't changed an exhibit since then. So I'm sorry if there's anyone from the Smithsonian Institution here. But I mean, if you haven't been there, it's great. But if you've been there, not so good. One place I would go is the National Portrait Gallery. It's one of the most recently remodeled Smithsonians. They have people with Macs there, which is pretty cool. And it's just a great place to see, and they have some really cool rotating exhibits. And that's it's not on the mall, it's a little bit off the mall if you need to find it. Last thing, this is going to be up for 30 seconds. Get your phones out. There are other people tonight with presentations that have these QR codes. If you don't get it, Dave Rayleigh right there is going to tweet it out right now, and you can on the NTC hashtag. Doing the monuments at night is the one thing you have to do. You can walk on the mall at night in a group. It's safe. I wouldn't go by myself, but I would go in a group. This is a 3-mile loop that'll take you past all of the big monuments, starts and ends at the Smithsonian Metro Station, which is on the Blue Line. And if you can't get it and you can't get the bit.ly link, you can find me later, and I have the QR code on my phone. I'm Jacob Wayne Smith. I appreciate your attention tonight. Thank you so much, and don't skip sessions, but get out and see the city.